We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
Yo, fuck nuts! It's probing time.
Greetings, strange humans, and welcome to another episode of the CJH Entertainment Podcast.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here, CJH. I got to tell you.
Introduce yourself.
You're eating. You're eating.
I am to add to the,
We haven't even done intros yet, and this man's eating in front of his guest.
I would have bought a pizza too.
You would have what?
Been awesome. That would have added to the atmosphere.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I smell it from here.
Yeah.
So,
Kraft
hello.
dinner, mac and cheese.
Hello, whoever watches CJH, whatever planet you are from. Hello, I am an Earthling. My name is Lil Movie Perp. I am a raptor. Big fan of movies. Big fan of genre movies. I'm a big fan of sci-fi, horror, action, and I'm a big fan of talking to CJH about all three of those genres.
And you're also a movie director.
Oh, true. I'm also a film director, not a feature film. I had a feature film deal, but then COVID hit and I lost it with MGM. Yay. I managed to do probably my most known work is doing an episode of Ash versus Evil Dead. I did one episode in season 3. I've only had short films other than that, but they have made it to like Sundance and festivals all over the world. DGA. I am part of the DGA. I don't know what else to say.
Tell us a little bit of the process of all that.
Of all that, okay. So I've been making films like in my home since I was like a kid. Since I wasn't even old enough to see horror films, I used to go to Blockbuster, and then my brother and I, we would go through the horror section, and we weren't even allowed to see horror films, but we'd love the covers, right? They had like the best art. They had like the, oh man, is this disturbing or whatever? That always grabbed my attention. And then we used to go to my house and used to like recreate what we thought those movies were. So like, for example, we did a bunch of Chucky movies because we got a doll. We saw like the Child's Play. It was like, oh shit, let's just recreate that. And we would do fake Chucky movies. Eventually, I got into film school, which I think is, well, before that, I've always been into film. I always wanted to be a director since I was like in elementary school and stuff, since like Spielberg and John Woo. So I would always get to the closest I can to that because we couldn't afford cameras or anything like that. So I did a lot of theater, right? And in my theater work, I learned a lot about lighting, which was very important to me. I was a big fan of, like I said, horror films, like giallo films, Dario Argento. They always had like kick-ass stylized lighting. So I went to theater in high school, like a magnet program or whatever, just doing like technical theater stuff, learning about lights and stuff like that. And then from there, since I was already a theater kid, I could sort of gather the students, the peers, and make little short films, which really, really, really helped. And it got me into film school in the University of Miami, which isn't the most well known, but whatever. They give you equipment. That's all I cared about. In general, that's the attitude I would suggest anyone in film. Is like, oh, this film school's not good, or this one's good. It's like whatever's going to give you a camera and a crew to work with, you go. And that might not even be film school, right? Film school might not even be for you. But yeah, from film school, I was like I said, I'm always a horror fan. I would only do like horror shorts. I would only do like horror stuff because I think they were the most fun, right? And they're the most where you get to like branch out and test your technical capabilities, whether it's an action scene of a chase or like, let's say, gore makeup and effects. All that stuff has to be planned and calculated and put into your production, right? Which I think really helped out a lot. I noticed like my films, my short films over a lot of other students would get into like a lot of festivals, right? Because everyone else wanted to do like dramas and stuff like that. No one like did genre. I don't know why. Everyone wants to be like a freaking Academy Award winner. So it's like a lot of like
Yeah.
a lot of movies about, you know, sad things and depressing and breakups and stuff like that. And
It's always the same cliches.
yeah, and it's and not always like there's always like a couple few. There's a couple like my favorite student filmmaker was this guy that never his none of his films made sense, and I loved it for it because it was just like it was such a ride where it's like where's this going, and it was just bizarre. It was just he was like clearly like a David Lynch fan. Um, but yeah, I got really lucky. I think what really helped me out in college specifically was because of my theater training or quote unquote schooling. It's not training. My theater schooling, it really taught me to collaborate. And I think that's the number one thing that's really helped me benefit out of everything is really being collaborative, really being community, like trying, even now I'm trying to work on my communication. So I think that's what really like got me like a little bit ahead in college over the other students. Is I was already collaborating. I already knew how to collaborate because I did theater in high school. So from that, I think I got to do quality films that actually got to other festivals, and then I just kept working on that until I got into a major film festival, which was Sundance, and that was like my first like big break. I got one short film into Sundance, people, one short film, and I got myself like a manager, agent that was getting me meetings with Jordan Peele, Sam Raimi, like the actual Sam Raimi, the actual Jordan Peele, you know. Um, and that changed my life. Like that Sundance got my manager. I told my manager was a huge like this is. I was very lucky that Evil Dead the show just got announced, so I was like, okay, can I get in that season 2, please? And they were and my manager worked on it. I couldn't get into season 2, but what he did was he got me into this thing called shadowing. Shadowing is when a director follows or like a studio will pay for your room and board of wherever the production is, and they'll have you follow a director of a given TV spot or whatever. I think Dave Filoni did that at one point. I think I heard
Yeah, with George.
he was shadowing at the point. Yeah, so I did that for Evil Dead. They flew me out to New Zealand in season 2. I got to follow this awesome director Rick Jacobson. He did the movie Bitch Slap. Any fans out there? I know I am. And yeah, and then the next season I got the call. They wanted me to do it, which was awesome. It was I got to do that, and it was like, I guess like that's the thing about Hollywood, right? I got that one screening, right? And then I had a pitch too as well that apparently got to the ears of a lot of Hollywood people. So while I was doing Ash vs. Evil Dead, like I was getting calls like, "Hey, Jordan Peele wants to meet with you." I was like, "What the fuck? Holy shit!" Sorry, can I curse here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I was like, "What the hell?" So in New Zealand, I literally had to go see Get Out because I hadn't seen it yet. I was like working on Ash, just so I could like tell him, "Oh man, your movie's amazing," which was fantastic. So Jordan Peele heard of a pitch that was making its way around, which was very similar to the short film that I had. So that's usually how it works. It's not just I have an idea. It's like you kind of have to have an idea attached to something you already did or something you could prove you could do by already doing it. You know, there's no other way you could prove you did it. Like the fanciest talker, I'm sure they could get jobs. But for the most part, it just seems like because I had a pitch and a short film with that pitch, that I got meetings with Sam Raimi, that I got meetings with the head of Miramax at the time, because I think this is around the time that Weinstein was getting, you know, he was getting booted, right? So the Miramax was, they were just like super like, holy shit, we're looking so bad right now. They got a new guy. And I got a meeting with the head CEO of Miramax who wanted me to cut a check. But at the time I was like, no, I want to give this shit to Jordan Peterson. I'm not going to, no fucking way. I'm not Jordan Peterson. Oh my God. Jordan Peele. Oh my God. I said Jordan Peterson instead of Jordan.
That would be a whole different
Clip
thing.
the shit out of that and say Perp is trying to make movies with Jordan Peterson.
Canceled
as hell. But yeah, I guess that's sort of the give or take of it. So yeah, another thing, why I met Sam Raimi, I was awesome. I don't mean to boost my ego, but I was awesome on set of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I know the Evil Dead franchise like amazingly, and I'm super, super funny and nice. So one of the things I would do is make sure I would say hi to every single crew member, every single one. And they really did appreciate that. They're like, no, they're New Zealand. So new director does it. Not every director does that. Gives. So, I was like, oh, it's easy. And because they're beautiful people too. So it's awesome to just talk to them. Yeah, you had a question. Sorry, I was.
Oh yeah, what draws you towards the Sam Raimi like Ash, Evil Dead type stories?
It's actually probably what drove people to Marvel. It would drove people to like a character like Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. Ash is like a goofball. He's an idiot, but he's so relatable, and he's so like, and because of that, because he's scared, because he'll always do like the wrong thing or do something funny rather than the right thing. You kind of have to crowbar. You have to like sort of push him to do the right thing. Made him super relatable, super entertaining, and just funny. I think a lot of things of like I've said several times. I think a lot of that Marvel formula, that idea of we're losers, but we're all in it together. It's sort of I feel like there's a connection between that and like the idea of Ash, and then it's like, okay, Ash is this goofball in this world, but this world is kind of like serious. Death is serious. These demons really want to eat souls. They're gory. They're crazy. And here comes this freaking clown, that messes everything up for them.
Yeah.
I think there's something kind of what's successful about the MCU with certain characters. I think there's a connection there. I gotta like sort of think about it and word it better and come up with examples. But I think that was my connection. My connection to Evil Dead is just there's no other movie like that. There's no like if movies were a personality, there's no personality like Evil Dead. Like to this day,
it's one of the first horror movies where the perspective is from the demon.
Exactly. It is. It feels like that, and no one could ever no one's replicated that or even attempted to replicate that. And it's funny because we have so many Evil Dead clones, right? But none of them ever do the Evil Dead style. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Even the new Evil Dead is like, we're gonna stay away from that. That's like strictly like a Sam Raimi thing. And what's beautiful about that is that Sam Raimi the whole time is like he never says I'm doing this shot because it's cool. He always says no, I'm doing this shot because in my mind this is the best way to tell a story. Like this is the best way to tell this story. And so it's like that's almost like him not thinking that these are like amazing, cool, like editing tricks and camera shots. Him just saying this was just my natural instinct is just like, yeah, that's why it can't be replicated. We need to have another guy like that. I think the closest we ever got was Peter Jackson, maybe back in the day. Like when he was doing his horror movies, he had very, very distinct sort of look and style that sort of reminded me of Raimi. He was probably influenced by Raimi, honestly. So I don't know.
Yeah. What made you choose dinosaur avatar?
It was just clearly the coolest one. Everyone freaking loves dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. I am trying to push for dinosaur movies outside of Jurassic World, and now 65. Unfortunately, stay away from that one. I want more. I want a good, studio pushed horror dinosaur movie, like a really, really good one. Good effects. It's like a $90 million budget. One location, sure, so we make that budget fly, but like a good horror dino movie with like A plus act Brad Pitt, freaking Emily Blunt. I want a good horror dinosaur movie. So this is my campaign for that. I picked this avatar.
Ash and Evil Dead features lots of intense and dramatic moments. How do you work with actors to bring out their best performances in emotionally charged scenes?
What are these questions, CJ? Did you have these down before?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay,
yeah.
Good for you. It's look, there's for something like Ash vs. Evil Dead, you're gonna know the moments that the actors want, right? You're gonna know like, okay, for my episode, we had a big scene where a big character dies, and one of our mains, Dana, pretty much was like, seemed like they were in love with him, right? So it was a big emotional scene. When I read that, I knew that Dana was going to want to give it everything she got because she's normally funny and everything. She's doing action. Oh my God, she's going to do an awesome crying scene. And I know, again, my experience working in theater, those are big scenes for actors, no matter what. So what I did when I'm scheduling this with my AD, who we were doing all the schedules of how much we allow for each scene or shot, right? I'm scheduling. And I told him that for that scene specifically, for the Dana scene, let's work around and speed around everything, all the other shots, all the other setups. So when we get there, we give her a lot of time because I know she'll appreciate that. It's not going to be a rush thing. Let's give our actor a lot of time. So that was the first thing I did. And then telling her, she really appreciated that. So we got to roll like a good 3 or 4, like, because these actors, like, one of the things about, especially with the main cast, they know their role. Like, you never have to do another take. Like, they're really good. Like, they feel at home. They know how they want to say things, and it's usually it was aligned with what I thought because I've watched the show. So it was like really cool, like a synchronicity there. But for that scene, when she did that, I was like, okay, we're gonna do at least 3 takes, and she loved that. She was like, thank you so much. At least 3 takes, right? At least. We ended up doing like 5, I think, of her crying out and trying to make this guy live again. So that's one thing. I think I could answer that question with, because outside of that, these actors that do these TV shows, they know their characters like so well. They know what they're going to say. They know how to say it. They know what's not going to work. I only had to tell Bruce Campbell, for example, who's an amazing artist, who I only had to tell him once, one direction, which was like, hey, can you just do a beat for the edit? Do like hold between these 2 lines. That's all I said. That's it. That's the only direction. Everything else, he knew what to do. He knew what we would talk about it or what have you in terms of what the scene is, but he knew what he was going to do in that scene, That's one way. And then also just giving him, being very honest. One of the things I like to do for other productions, when I'm talking to an actor, is like a lot of the times actors are going to have to, like, especially when you're not working in Hollywood, there's no stand-ins for them. There's none of that, right? So they're pretty much going to have to stand there and deal with a lot of waiting, right? So one of the things I like to do is tell them straight up, this one's for me. Please be patient, and we'll do one for you. When I mean like that is like, hey, you're going to have to be a prop here. I want to get these visuals down. And when I say we're going to do one for you, like later on, or the next shot, that's what I mean by like, hey, Dana, this is all about like your acting. It's not about like the lighting needs to be perfect. The camera moves. This is all just we're going to stand still. We're going to let you act, So that's what I like to do with actors, is like pretty much be honest. Like, this for me, this is for me, this is for direct. This is so everyone thinks I'm an awesome director. Sorry. But then make sure it's like, don't worry, you have a couple. You have a couple coming towards you where we're going to show your acting. And that's I think that's benefited. Another thing that's benefited my work.
Yeah. How has your directing style and approach to storytelling, how has it evolved over the years?
I care a lot more about character than story now. I used to be a story setup guy, and that has made it really hard for me a little bit in terms of writing. I always have awesome setups, awesome pitches. How I got all these meetings and shit. But I have trouble sticking the landing a little bit, where it's like, where do we go for the third act? Like, that's another thing about horror that kind of like is the most difficult aspect. Usually is like that third act when you're like, okay, am I going to explain what's going on, or is it scary or not to? Is the movie not going to get bought because I didn't explain how ghosts exist in this world? Like, it's a bunch of like, what do I explain? What do I not explain? Is it scarier if I don't? I already lost track of what the question was.
So you're fairly new at YouTube as well.
Yeah.
What got you started with the whole YouTube career?
Like I said, I had a feature film I was making. I had my first feature film deal in MGM. We were filming in Colombia. We were literally building sets. We got some really good actors already hired, and we were looking for. We were in talks with some pretty big. I want to say, for me, they're A-listers. I love John Leguizamo. We were in talks with John Leguizamo for the starring role. It never finalized, but we did get like his who was going to play his daughter, who ended up who was like a phenomenal actress. She was amazing. She was going to be an up and comer. I was really looking forward to, like, sort of doing her big break, or her coming out party, if you will, that I always like dreamed about doing, with like a, finding the next Jamie Lee Curtis, finding the next, Naomi Campbell. Like there's so many great stories of amazing actors coming off horror films, and I wanted to be one of those. I always said like, oh, I want a fresh face, no matter what. We want one starring role to be a fresh face that's going to have stand-up performance, no matter what. But then COVID happened, and I had to fly back, and then there was a huge, whichever, it's very, very public, huge regime change that happened in MGM. They lost Orion Films, which was the subsidiary company we were doing it with through MGM, owned by MGM. And I just lost the movie, and I was very depressed for a while, and I just decided to start a channel and start just doing little music video stuff and maybe getting more involved with certain things. And I ran into like this channel, Actual Fandom, that I really enjoyed. I ran into this other channel, Mad Max, The Mandalorian Movie Madness. And that opened the doors to all these other people that I just became really fond of. I became really fond of the discussion. I felt that there was a lot of movie talk happening that I felt I could contribute in a more positive way and sort of dispel like, how these things work a little bit, or, I felt I could contribute. I think there's a lot of like people like that now. I think COVID did that with a lot of people, where it's like, oh, people in the industry are actually talking over here, which was fun. And I'm not part of that. I was just like, I got stopped, right? I was on my way. I got stopped, and I got on my way, and I just sort of fell in love with the communities here, fell in love with the discussions. And I'm still working on my stuff, but it's like, oh man, I still would like to be a part of this. But yeah.
Just don't play any copyrighted material. And
yeah, I got to learn the hard way. That's one thing. Yeah. I got to learn. That's how it is. That's how it is with filmmaking too. Like,
so
can we do that? I don't know. Let's try it.
Films can often be intense and fast-paced. How do you manage the stress when it comes to filmmaking?
The stress is being very prepared, and then being the director, I'm somewhat allowed to dictate that rhythm and pace. I know that I was, for Ash specifically, it's Bruce Campbell that dictates the rhythm and pace, but he got along with me big time. He invited me to his house. I was the only director that he invited, because they do the shows by blocks, right? So they get a bunch of directors and they do one block, then they hire another group of directors to do the second block. That way, you could sort of be able to gauge what's going to happen in the episode before yours, and after yours, you talk to those directors. We're doing whatever the hell. So it seemed like Bruce Campbell really, really enjoyed me. Apparently, like my getting being really good to the crew paid off, because he said that the crew is constantly talking about how much they like me and stuff like that. So he invited me over to his house to watch a premiere of one of the movies that was coming out, that he actually had done like 5 years prior, and they were, I don't know, or sometime prior. I wouldn't say 5 years. I don't know. That might be disrespectful. Sometime prior, but it was not finding distribution, and finally got distribution. I saw it. It was a really funny, very charming comedy. Bruce Campbell can do no wrong. But yeah, because Bruce Campbell dictates the thing, the whole pacing and the rhythm and all that, I sort of have to like vibe with his, but then do it in my own way. And he's very fast. So I was very fast, but still like jokey and stuff like that. And that's sort of how, I guess, I succumbed to the pressure. Oh, okay. I'll tell you one thing. I mean, you didn't quite ask that, but one thing is, like, I did have a couple moments where I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, this is too big for me. I'm a fraud, or whatever the fuck.
You became like a fanboy.
Yeah. And then so what I did to like calm myself down is I would go to the monitor, right? I would just go to the monitor. They had a word for it, Video Village, right? I would just go to Video Village, which is basically where all like the main setup of different monitors, all this shit. And I would go there and I would just look at like the scene through there, and then just like start pretend I'm just making a fan film. I wouldn't even think this is not part of Evil Dead. This is just a fan film that I'm lucky enough to like direct, and that sort of like brought me down a little bit. And just like, oh, okay, I'll just look through the TV, right? Which is very weird because you would think it's the opposite. It's like, no, I'm looking through the TV. That means it's real. That means it's really on TV, right? It's a real movie or whatever. But for some reason, that calmed me down. It's like looking at things through the monitor as from the perspective of like a fan film. That's not really Bruce Campbell. That's some guy that looks like him.
So, directors often face criticism and differing opinions during the creative process. How do you handle constructive criticism and maintain confidence in your vision?
How do I handle? Well, it's usually like we have a goal, right? We all have a goal in the cast and crew, and hopefully we talked about it before, right? And then it's like, okay, and then the way you keep that consistent is like, no, it makes sense. You know, this person, like this character does this, therefore this happens, therefore that happens. And then maybe you could sort of have that logic train, but at the same time, that logic train can be taken somewhere else by the actor. I'm usually very aware of sort of like what it's like. You know, I like to put myself in, okay, if I was an audience member seeing this for the first time, and that's usually really helped me out in trying to explain things, if that makes sense, in terms of why I think this will work, because I sort of have that, well, the expectation of a character doing this, and then something else happens instead of that. Like, I feel like I could get actors on board. Like, I can't even think of a single disagreement that I've ever had with a creative, because from the very beginning, like when we're talking, when they're pitching to me about why they should be hired to do this movie, it seems like, you know, and then of course, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Like, there's going to be some things you didn't talk about, you didn't anticipate, all that stuff. But I can't think of one right now for me, for example, because it was like, it's always been like, I've since the beginning, and talking with the heads of crew, we always have a destination in mind. You know, if that makes sense.
Here's a question that you'll enjoy. With the growth of international cinema, are there any filmmakers or films from different cultures that have inspired or influenced your work?
Oh my God, yeah, all over Japan, especially Japan specifically. The J horror boom was a huge thing for me when I saw Ringu in like '98. I really like I'm really like, my goal in like the film making endeavor, when I'm saying like, you know, I've never talked to anyone publicly about this, so you're getting an exclusive in terms of like, what do I want to do with film? Like, what Perp, do you just want to just make what other people make, or do you want to do you have like something to say or a craft you want to try? And I've always loved the idea of doing a horror film that is very fast paced, but then when it comes to the scares, when it comes to the setup, you slow it down. You're doing fast pace for storytelling, fast pace for character development, for plot points, and then you slow it down for the horror. You know, I sort of got that from the J horror stuff, because they're very good with atmosphere. And in order to get atmosphere like fully satisfactory, in my opinion, you do have to slow things out. You do have to linger for a little bit. And they have like for the most part, they have that on lock. That whole idea of this ghostly atmospheric feeling, where you're really getting sucked in through the sets and the fog and all that stuff. And I love that. But then at the same time, I also love action movies. I also love fast-paced storytelling. I also love, you know, the beauty of being fooled by a movie like Speed, because everyone says Speed is an action movie. It's not really. It's just you feel that way because of the pacing. There's not a lot of like action stuff outside of the beginning and the end. There's a couple like, maybe they crash to a car and they crash through this, but it's spread out throughout the whole thing, and it feels like it's an action movie. You feel like you just saw, you got a full fulfillment of like John Wick's in one movie just by the pacing. And I've always been a fan of trying to play with pacing, especially when it comes to horror, where I think you could have your cake and eat it too. I think you could, because Guillermo del Toro said something brilliant once. He said there's two types of horror films. There are the ones that play hide and seek, you know, you're like ghost movies, your haunted movies, And then there are the ones that play tag, right? And those are like more like they're zombie movies or, you know, and I think my main goal is trying to figure out a way of doing both. Because it's usually like you sort of pick a lane, right? Are you a ghost movie or a gory movie? One of the G's, right? I'm being super um being reductive there when I say ghost or gore, but like that's
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
what I mean. Yeah.
If one of the big companies like Disney or Universal or even Warner Brothers asked you to make one of their big franchise movies, what would you pick?
I would pick a horror Star Wars. I would like to do Knights of Ren. Them pillaging Vader's castle when they hear of his death. And Vader has booby trapped the shit out of it, including keeping a vault of death Sith Force ghosts. And it's the Knights of Ren dealing with that. So it'd be like Knights of Ren in a Star Wars Saw movie with supernatural undertones. That's the dream.
Um, I'll ask why.
Why?
Yeah, I forgot to
Um,
add that to the question.
You know what? Only simply to help out Kathleen Kennedy. No, I'm kidding. No, I just think I love the Star Wars world, and I love horror. So I was like, yeah, clearly that. I mean, but you know, and maybe I'm sucking up to you a little bit because obviously you gave me that Warner Brothers shit too, and I would have
Yeah.
loved to do Batgirl, you know. But I think you should go to a woman first. I'll do the sequel. I'll do the third one.
Would you do a Friday the 13th movie?
Yes, but it depends. Can I rewrite the script?
Sure.
Well, no, actually now, yeah. Now, yeah. I'm being stupid. Yeah, now I would do it, yeah. But you know, in general, the whole running around the woods, getting killed off one by one, I'll do it, and I hope I could bring some juice to it, but that's generally not my bag. That's generally not my thing. Of course, there's always exceptions. I do love Friday the 13th. I especially love number 6, Jason Lives. That um, gave it a Terminator pacing. Um, uh, I but for the most part, that's like not my favorite type of horror film. I love them. I will watch them. I own them. Friday the 13th is my favorite game. I have a bunch of Jason toys. I love them. I love them. But I want to do like, you know, I love all of horror, right? Right. But I think it'll be a disservice if I'm given money and I'm not doing my number one favorite type of horror, you know? It's like, why do that to me? Why do that to the fans, right? You want your director to be like so 120% into the passion.
Well, I'm sure the fans would wonder, what is your favorite controversy that the perp has caused?
My favorite controversy that the perp has caused. I'll tell you
On
what.
YouTube, on anywhere.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Tune in. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'll answer that in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Copyright.
No, I think definitely the Max shit sinking his channel is the worst I've ever felt. So I'm gonna go with that one. I think that was and Max taking it very well also hurts me. He reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, are you doing okay?" I was like, "What?" After I sunk his channel, he reached out to
What
me.
was the process? Because I've seen edited videos on your channel. What is the process of your editing?
The process is I work through music. I love working through music. If you listen to my episodes, Ash vs. Evil Dead episodes commentary, you'll hear that the producer, legendary producer Robert Tappert, said that his favorite scene from my episode, that it was the one that he didn't think was going to work at all, and it's because it was a musical montage. I had a montage scene. Um, um, I wanted an 80s song. I think it's our prop. I don't remember if it was our prop guy or the set guy. But I asked because I noticed that he liked 80s, so I asked him, "Hey, what's a really cool obscure 80s song?" He gave me one, and I put it in, and it was perfect. Got to edit to that song. I love editing to music. If you go to my channel, all my music video, all that stuff is music. So the process is get a song I really like, I'm really responding to, dump it, and then look through your movies, look through all this stuff. Was like, okay, what can match that energy? What can match that shot? I mean, what can match that sort of that sound? Let's say I do a lot of rap songs. So if I hear a rap song use that gun cock sound, I'll try to get a shot of a gun, like a gun getting cocked. Like that. That's my stupid ass process. Okay. It's very simple.
And if you can't get the rights to a certain song,
I don't.
but
I'm not monetized. I just put it out there and
no, I mean in film.
Oh, that was a factor. Thank God. That's why I asked for an obscure song from the beginning. Because it's like I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be the 18th thing to put in a Beastie Boys song. Okay. Shout out Bruce.
Who was your favorite content creator that you have worked with?
Man, that's an unfair question. That is totally unfair that you asked me that in your podcast. I will say you're my favorite character, but it's my favorite is Max. I love Max. I don't know what it is about him. I find his voice joyful. I find him hilarious. I really enjoy Max. But out of the Max orbiters, you have always been a personal, and you know this. I've been campaigning for you since I showed up. Always been a fan of CJH. I don't watch your content. Maybe you would have made the list. You should have phrased it different. Who's your favorite dude or something?
You did do a trailer, a fan trailer.
I did. Yes, I did do a fan trailer of your movie. Yeah, I did. I was a fan, like I said. How long ago was that? It was like a couple months. More than a couple months.
Yeah. Who other than Bruce Campbell, what was your favorite actor to work with?
Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. The Green Ranger. I loved it. I loved working with him. He was such a class act. He was such a humble guy. And this guy is apparently like a real fighter too. He was telling me all like, oh yeah, I was gonna fight this guy. I was gonna fight this guy for the UFC, with like setting up like celebrity matches or some shit. He's apparently a really good fighter. He has a karate school, so of course, yeah, he's a real good fighter. But he was so humble. He was so appreciative, and he was also someone that would compliment your art and would compliment, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't do that, like actually compliment what you're working on or what you're doing, and be a good pusher of that. Even him, like he would like promote stuff for other people, like in his Instagram, which was huge, in his Twitter and all that. I think he was a very I thought he was a very giving person, and I enjoyed working with him because from the get, he wasn't like, he wasn't, where's my umbrella? This is hot. It's hot outside. Where's my shade or anything like that? He would just, it was very low budget that I got the opportunity to work with him. Very low budget, so he had to like sort of rough it out with the other cast and crew. We didn't have special places for him to rest, which is normally what happens in every other production ever. Like in Ash vs. Evil Dead, all the main cast had trailers, right? Even in like other productions, like short film productions, like you have to, part of like the location scouting. When I was location scouting for MGM, the horror film in Colombia, like part of the location scout, okay, where is John Leguizamo hanging out when he's not on set? Because there's going to be a lot of times where he's not on set, when we have a stand-in, we're working on shit. That's a major part of it. For Jason David Frank, never. He would just stand there with the crew, cast and crew. And I'm really saddened by what happened, especially since like I was, it probably wasn't going to happen because after you're done filming, you always talk, oh, we'll do other stuff together, and we did talk after I was done with his short. And one of the things we had talked about was I was going to write something for his daughter, right? Specifically, I was going to write something and film something monologue wise for his daughter. And I know he loved his daughter too. So it's very, it's very rough to even think about now, but I hope everyone is finding the best piece they possibly can right now with the tragedy.
Are there any actors that you would love to work with that you
Yeah.
haven't worked with yet?
Yeah, of course, dude. Gina Carano, Jim Caviezel, James Woods. Okay, I would love to work with James Wood, John Voight. All right, if you give me those 4 guys in one movie, we got ourselves for sure. We got ourselves a freaking bang. We got an Expendables 6. All right. Oh no, we're on 4. Never mind. We got Expendables 5 ready. I don't know. I work with anyone that wants to. Okay. If you really want, Tilda Swinton is like freaking magical, and I'm dying to cast her to play in 2 parts. Okay, that's it. I want her to play 2 characters. That's it. That's my dream. Tilda playing 2 parts.
What was your favorite video to edit on your channel?
Honestly, it was the found footage horror Halloween extravaganza, because I got to watch I was like super behind. I thought I would be able to edit a full music video with the found footage I got. I wasn't, so I had to see a bunch of more new found footage, and I discovered this director from Japan that just did some of the most banger. Like, it's hard to have one found footage movie be a masterpiece. This guy straight up has 3 already that I've seen. 3 found footage, all radically different, and they're all masterpieces. And so just that alone, introducing me to this guy, I was just like, okay, awesome. And I had a blast doing the rest of the music video, found footage and all that shit, because I love editing to swipes, and found footage is nothing but freaking swipes in those third acts where people are running everywhere. So that. Hey, Anthony Beltry's here.
Yeah, we have Anthony Beltry in the chat.
Nice.
It's one of our followers. For those listening on the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Anchor.
I forgot this. Sorry, I forgot this was podcasting. So it's like, hey, Anthony's here. It's like they're gonna think he walked in the door.
Yeah. What content creator would you love to work with?
What content creator?
On YouTube.
What content creator would I love to work with? Well, Mr. Girl was banned.
Oh God, no. There'll be none of that on here.
So I'm gonna go with a close second, Vito. he's friends with Mr. Girl.
No, God, no.
Which content creator? Let me ask my girlfriend. Which content creator do you think I would want to work with? Probably Destiny. Who would I want to work with? YMS. Never mind. YMS. Adam from Your Movie Sucks. I love that guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I've watched. I think he's has he.
He liked the new Barbie movie. I feel so valid.
Yeah.
The new Barbie movie, as if there's like 80. Well, there is technically the animated one.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about Adam Ruins Everything?
No, it's Adam. His name's Adam Plays, but it's from Your Movie Sucks. But I know who Adam Ruins Everything is. And then Elvis the Alien is another one, right?
Oh yeah, I will. I personally would love to interact with Elvis the Alien.
Yeah, his reviews are
no
good.
bias. Being an alien myself.
He's like, how would you wouldn't describe him as like one of those like the anti woke people, right?
Oh, so I don't know. There's that whole controversy, right? My channel used to be a Fandom Mass channel for a little bit,
right?
I've moved on from that long ago.
What was the thing that broke you, if you don't mind me asking? Where did you realize it was
mostly there was that, and mostly the back and forth on social media that was like there was a lot of infighting and stuff.
So the infighting made you realize it's all bullshit? They're just
you could really tell that there's a lot of grifting involved.
Yeah. Do you think that
And
guy? Go.
not to mention the whole fact that they started doing exactly what they said that they were against. They started talking politics.
Yeah,
But what were you gonna say?
No, I wanted to branch off to that. It's just like what's funny is that I think when at first time, it's like, and not just using this as that example, it's like a lot of like the Eric July fans are now calling people racist if you don't like it. It's almost, and it felt like at first it's like, it felt like they were doing it ironically. Like, see what it is. But now I think like it's turned into no, they really do think we're racist. We don't like, so it is like it's gone like.
It's like a 180.
Yeah, it's gone completely 180, Completely 180. And
Well,
then,
what are your thoughts on the whole recent controversy with Starfield?
I don't think there's any controversy outside of
Heel versus babyface.
Yeah, and that's not a controversy. It's just a bunch of people laughed at a guy like that mad at pronouns. Like that's all it was, right? And then they take it as a win, like we're the ones mad. Dude, we were laughing our asses off. Like that was really fun. Like he got so mad. And I want to ask you, like, that has to be performative, right? Like that has to be performative.
Yeah,
there's no way that dude
to a
is that
point.
freaking mad. Like, but you said to a point. What I'm gonna say is it's to the point where I think he's a left psyop. He's a left-wing psyop.
Well, it's possible that like I don't know that they've gotten this angry at this point.
Yeah.
So like they've forced themselves to be angry.
Okay.
To the point where, I mean, you tell a lie big enough, people eventually believe it.
Sure. Yeah. It could, because I thought they were all about like making fun of that shit, but it seems like they're getting angry and angrier with this shit. So it's like, all right. Looks like you're the locals now. That's fine. That's fine. But I want to play Starfield now. Not because of that, obviously. I wasn't whatever about it, but now it's like, oh, Skyrim in space. All right, you guys are getting me. You guys are getting me with the Skyrim in space. That's too good. And it looks good.
You know what would probably happen is I'd probably play it for a little bit and then I'd go back to No Man's Sky.
No. Isn't the story based though?
It is, but like I don't know. I've played a lot of No Man's Sky, so it's like I'm used to it.
Yeah, No Man's Sky is pretty. No one's ever gonna get it perfect, right? Because I heard this one is like map jumping, right? It's not really like open universe.
I've been meaning to go back to Subnautica because a lot of my subscribers want that content.
Yeah,
but also I've just been missing doing that.
What do you mean you've been missing?
Well, I haven't. Well, I used to have Game Pass. I used to have Game Pass. They took it off Game Pass, so now I had to eventually buy it. But I haven't played it in a long time.
Subnautica, I never played it. I heard it was scary. It didn't look like it was going to be scary.
Yeah, there's certain parts of the ocean that are very scary.
One of the things I love about Bethesda in their Fallouts and Skyrims and now this one is that, dude, I'm such a huge, I don't know why. I just need I love third person. Like I'm such a big fan of third person versus first person in my video games.
I like both.
Yeah, I'll play first person. Like I played both those new Doom games that were freaking amazing, obviously. But for the most part, I'm a big fan of the third. I like seeing what I'm wearing, and especially you can change shit. Like I like all that stuff.
Do you think Cyberpunk would have been better as a third person?
Or
have that option of third?
Yes, they should have done exactly like Bethesda. Bethesda is showing all these people like that should sort of be the new standard. I understand not everyone could do it, but if you're like a AAA game, and come on, like everyone, like I think even when Cyberpunk before the game was actually released and when the hype was real, even when everyone kind of gave like a when they said first person because like Witcher was so great in third person. But I felt that vibe. Maybe it was just me, and I'm sort of projecting that to others. But I felt there was a vibe of like, oh, first person, okay, yeah, we'll play it. But yeah,
What
for sure third person. I would be playing it right now, dude. I wouldn't even be here if it was third person.
what are your thoughts on the controversy of AI being discussed when it comes to entertainment?
I don't do enough research on it. For the most part, I'm very like doing the freaking basic Barry normie. It's a tool like anything else. You know, I don't know. So I'm fine with it. There's I've heard some great arguments. I've heard arguments that AI could really help implement NPCs and stuff like that for stuff like Starfield. Stuff like that is like it's definitely worth looking into. I think. Um, AI art. If it's good art, I like it. If it's bad art, I don't. That's all I have to say about that. I don't know. And what do you mean by bad? I'm saying in my subjective view, I'm pretty much saying like AI art is AI art. I don't think
Yeah.
anything inherently negative because someone says it's AI art, unless they're trying to sell it as not. Then you're just lying, but that's fine. That's the lie itself. It's not because it's now AI.
Well, I think, in a way we've been using AI for the longest time. It's
Yes.
just the attention has been put onto it. The spotlight has been put onto it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
agree with you.
when you think about TikTok, we use AI all the time for that stuff.
Yeah.
And algorithms and stuff. Even when you think about it, your avatar is AI.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I've told people before, I'm not going to be the guy that was against talkies and movies, I'm not going to be that guy. Especially AI could help out like freaking VFX crunch time. Maybe at some point, like it could help a lot. It could help. It could help. It's a tool. Let's look at it as a tool. Let's not run away from it. We could be afraid of it, fine, but being afraid of it is what is going to help us deal with it. Like, let's deal with it while we're afraid. That's what respect. We got to respect the beast. You got to respect the beast before you tame it. Fear is respectful. It's a show of respect. In fact, I wouldn't want someone that's not scared to come in because they think they know everything and they could do anything. I want someone that is legitimately scared of AI to be like coming up with some solutions on how to work with it. And they'll have all their bases down because they're terrified of it.
It's definitely an opportunity to use AI as a story for a film. Like, what are your thoughts on that new movie, The Creator?
The Creator, I hope it does well. It seems like I get like I feel like film people are digging that. They're coming at it. Hey, original film has its own visual vibe, but at the same time, it feels like it's a Gareth Edwards movie too. That's really interesting too. How he has like this. It kind of has like same cinematography look of Rogue One. So I'm glad that guy like he officially has a look that dude. So he's like an auteur in a way. Which I love, but I feel like normies are not going to get into it. Like you better show some really cool
it's
action.
It's also come out at a time where AI is a controversy.
It is.
So.
It is, but I don't think this is doing anything to that conversation whatsoever. It's just another iRobot is the way normies are going to see it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm worried about. I know film people are going to be into it. I hope it's number one because, like you said, that it's a good. Even if I ended up hating that movie, I still think it's a good example for studios to follow. An original, crazy, big budgeted, uh, you know, director driven movie. So even if I hate it, I still think it's the right thing to do to support it. But I just I don't see like the AI conversation. I don't see anything in that trailer that gives you anything philosophical that you couldn't find in another AI movie. Even iRobot, where it's like, oh, like we need to. If they have a twist to it, now's the time to start marketing to it. Like, what's the gimmick? It's not going to be like a lone wolf and cub thing, right? Just with an AI girl.
Well, my thoughts is they should have kept the whole kid of reveal in the trailer a secret.
Maybe. Yeah, they did a 65 then. That's probably what happened. It's gonna be this summer's 65, unfortunately, I think. I hope I'm wrong. I'll probably see it. I'll wait for reviews first. Actually, I'll wait for
Well,
reviews. But it should be good reviews, like you said. People are rooting for it. The film community is rooting for it. I hope I hope normies see it.
well, I definitely cannot go past and not ask you about DC.
Okay. You mean
What
James
are your
Gunn's
thoughts on
DC?
yes?
You mean James Gunn's DC?
What are your thoughts?
I am
What
100.
without the bickering of other people?
No, I'm down for that. It's actually a very cool experiment of having such a personality, such a director, be head of a studio, like putting him head of the studio. It's technically an experiment. I can't think of anything like that happening before.
Other than Marvel with Kevin Feige.
No, because Kevin Feige came from nowhere. Like it's like Kevin Feige kind of worked for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying James Gunn didn't work for it, but I'm just saying James Gunn was a popular direct. Like he made it already. He's one of probably one of the top 10 directors in America. Definitely in the top 5 of whatever movie he has coming out that year. He's gonna make like the top 5, right? At least grossing wise.
Yeah.
So it's like he's already there. It's like, why does he? Again, I can't think of like that's in like Spielberg in the middle of like right after Temple of Doom becomes the head of Paramount. He's like, what the? And he's just like, I'm in charge of Paramount. I'm going to be writing, directing, and doing everything coming out of Paramount. And it's like, what? Like that's crazy. Like I think that's cool. But it is an experiment. You know, there's a reason why directors are directors and DC studio heads are DC or studio heads are studio heads. You know, they kind of have a different path and they look at things a little bit differently. So this is a very interesting experiment, and I really hope it works out because it's like hell yeah, directors can do anything. And I think no matter what, his portion, his part is going to be good, great, and I think he's gonna everything. If they allow him the freedom, hopefully that they said they're giving him, then I think we're in for the next decade belonging to the DCU. You know, maybe that's a possibility.
I know you're also a big fan of Michael Bay and Transformers.
Yes.
What got you into that?
What got me into Michael Bay and Transformers, man? This is so complicated. This is actually the most complicated question you asked me. I feel like I can't even answer that. Like that's a weird. Like I can't even. That's weird that I can't even think of an answer of like why am I into Michael Bay specifically? The Transformers.
Maybe what intrigues you?
I thought I was never into Transformers. Like not even like I never saw it. Is like no, I tried to see it. I did not like it. The cartoons, all of that, did not like it. It's just not my thing. Michael Bay, you know, I love him and I joke about him, but you know he's like any other director, hit or miss. You know, I don't love everything he does. For some reason, the Transformers was just like the most. I feel like I don't know how to describe it. I feel like he tried in the first Transformers, and he really tried, and there was something there. Seeing him have fun, he had fun in
Maybe
Transformers.
the studio was like, we need more explosions.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. No. Yeah, because in the first one, I think there was I don't think Michael Bay was expecting to love Shia LaBeouf as much as he did. I don't think Michael Bay was expecting to have as good of a time under Spielberg as he did, or something was happening because there's a certain joy in that first Transform. Maybe it's because he found Megan Fox, you know? There's a joy in that first Transformers movies that never carried on. A special innocence, a special like Michael Bay is he has the maturity of a 15-year-old, right? Like that's what everyone like says. But for some reason in the Transformer movie, it came out pure. And it came out.
You think maybe Spielberg had something to do with that?
Yes. I think he was trying to impress Spielberg or something. You know, because that's Big Daddy, bro. That's Big Daddy Hollywood, you know? There's in the making of Transformers, there's literally a scene where Spielberg is looking at the script and just like saying, "That's not. Wait, that's not what we filmed. That's not what we filmed. That's not what." Like he's like saying that Michael Bay does a lot of like improvisation. I don't know how that man got to the position he is. Like he really could do whatever the fuck he wants, man. More than a lot of other directors, I think, that are deemed like, you know, masters and all that. It's just, it really is the money. He's left alone. He's left alone in his trend. He's left alone. He's left alone. How many parts of the process? That's what blows my mind. He's left alone in the shooting, and then the part that blows my mind is no one goes in there with when he's editing, right? Because that his editing is like still Michael Bay's editing. Like no one, that's his cut, bro. Like what where are all the producers where they're like they're not telling him anything? Like that's crazy to me. That's what everyone complains about, and producers still like, oh no, let Michael Bay have his cut. I don't know. He must have a deal. He's probably producing it too or some shit. I don't know. But still.
We're an hour into the podcast, and I have one last question. What do you hope your audiences take away from your films, and what kind of impact do you aim to create through your work?
I hope they have a good time. I hope they are thoroughly entertained, and I really believe that you know, stories are like the one thing that will keep going. So the dream is always is like once I'm passed on, whatever I happen to tell one story that like keeps going, keeps getting told to someone else or shown to someone else. That is kind of important to me. You know, as a horror director, I am terrified of death, you know? So I think that's why I feel like I contribute to the horror genre. And I feel like stories are the only way we could truly live on, truly live forever.
All right. So that's the end of the show. Anything else you want to add?
No, I gotta say, I am absolutely impressed with your professionalism in this. I thought we were gonna come in here and just like shoot the crap and, you know, meme and troll, but I gave you serious answers because you gave me serious questions, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I'm thoroughly impressed. There's another side to CJH, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can be professional when needed.
When needed. It wasn't needed this time, but it is appreciated.
Yeah. All right.
Close this out, baby.
I'll probably chat at behind the scenes, but yeah. All right.